Meanwhile, Wu Yixian snapped out of her fantasy of getting rich overnight and chuckled self-deprecatingly. Forget it, crimson bloodgrass is so rare, it's not easy to stumble upon it by chance. It's more practical to hunt magical beasts. She rallied and said to Su Han, "Silly fish, let's go. Let's go downstream along the river. The current will be calmer there, and there should be more magical beasts living there." However, Su Han then peeked out from her sleeve, extended his small wings, and pointed upstream. Wu Yixian stopped and looked at Su Han in confusion. "Silly fish, are you telling me to swim upstream? But the current there is rapid and too dangerous." Su Han shook his head and pointed upstream again, his azure eyes filled with an unquestionable expression. He had just sensed through his water manipulation that there was an unusual fluctuation in the water flow not far upstream. The spiritual energy there seemed to be drawn by something, making it seem out of place compared to other places. Although Su Han couldn't be sure if it was the crimson bloodgrass, there was no harm in going to investigate. Wu Yixian looked at her silly fish, remained silent for a moment, but ultimately chose to believe. After all, even though her silly fish seemed to have no fighting ability whatsoever, more like an ornamental pet, she always felt, this silly fish doesn't seem to be so simple. After all, could it be that he truly lacked wisdom? Yet Wu Yixian always felt that he could understand what she was saying. But why can't I hear what this silly fish is thinking? How strange. Wu Yixian shook her head and followed Su Han's guidance, heading upstream along the Qilong River. After walking for about half an hour, the river breeze, carrying a thick layer of water vapor, hit us in the face, and the sound of waves crashing against the shore was constant. Perhaps because the Red Dragon River was so dangerous and could burst its banks at any moment, the journey was calm and peaceful, and no monsters were seen. We walked for another 10 minutes or so. Just as Wu Yixian was considering whether to stop going forward, since the upstream area was simply too dangerous. Suddenly, as the riverbank bends, Wu Yixian's gaze is drawn to a protruding brown rock on the bank. In a crevice at the top of the rock, a strange little grass was growing tenaciously. The grass was a translucent blood red, about 3 inches tall, with narrow, long leaves and a graceful shape. It naturally emitted a faint golden halo around its body. No matter how turbulent the river beneath its feet may be, it remains unmoved, radiating a pure and vigorous energy. Red blood grass? Wu Yixian's beautiful eyes widened instantly, her breath caught in her throat, and her face was filled with unbelievable surprise. Really found it. We're rich. We're rich. She looked at Su Han excitedly, her eyes shining with excitement. Silly fish. You're really my lucky star. I'll give you a special treat tonight. 20 boxes of blood ants. All you can eat. Su Han curled her lip in disdain. 20 boxes? Who do you think you are? At this moment, Wu Yixian suppressed her excitement and hurriedly stepped forward. After all, in this desolate wilderness, treasures only count when they are actually obtained. She first carefully observed her surroundings, and after confirming that there were no guardian magical beasts, she took out a jade box specially for storing spiritual herbs and a small jade shovel from her bosom, preparing to dig out this priceless crimson blood grass intact. However, just as she carefully placed the crimson blood grass, along with the surrounding soil, into the jade box, bang! A blazing fireball, the size of a wash basin, accompanied by a violent gust of wind, shot out from the nearby woods, its target Wu Yixian, who was picking spiritual herbs. Who? Just as the blazing fireball was about to strike, Wu Yixian lightly touched the ground with the tip of her foot, seemingly casually. Whoosh! Her figure seemed to transform into a wisp of moonlight without any substance, drifting backwards several meters in an unnatural and elegant trajectory. Boom! The fireball slammed into the spot where she had just been standing, creating a deafening roar. Soil mixed with debris from vegetation flew everywhere, and a charred crater was blasted into the ground. Seeing this, Wu Yixian's beautiful face was covered with frost. She first put the jade box containing the crimson blood grass into her bosom and kept it close to her body. Then, Her sharp eyes looked towards the direction of the forest from which the fireball was coming. TSK, 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 that's a quick reaction. A mocking and arrogant voice rang out. With the sound of rustling footsteps, 6 figures emerged one after another from the dense shadows of the forest. The leader, with white hair and an arrogant expression, was none other than Yi Fan. His gaze first swept greedily over the outline of the jade box that was vaguely visible in Wu Yixian's arms. His gaze then fell upon Wu Yixian's face, which appeared even more aloof and incomparably cold due to her anger, and a hint of undisguised amazement and possessiveness flashed deep in his eyes. Wu Yixian, the campus belle of Wuhan University. What a coincidence. Yi Fan smiled gently, but his tone was condescending and condescending. You're lucky to have found this crimson blood grass. However, I've taken a liking to this crimson blood grass. Hand it over obediently. Considering we're classmates, I can let you suffer less. His henchmen also dispersed, forming a swarm to cut off Wu Yixian's retreat. Each of them wore a lewd, malicious smile, their eyes lingering on Wu Yixian's slender figure. Yi Fan. Wu Yixian's voice was icy cold. You want to rob me? Rob? Don't put it so harshly. Yi Fan shrugged. The hellhound at his feet, a massive creature with 3 ferocious heads and dripping corrosive saliva, let out a low growl, its ferocious aura as a level 3 beast tamer spreading out without any concealment. The unclaimed items in the fallen dragon forest will naturally be obtained by the capable. Do you really think you and your useless fish that only knows how to blow bubbles can protect this crimson blood grass? You can try. Wu Yixian refused to back down. Although she could tell that the 3-headed hellhound had become a level 3 beast tamer, she was also a level 3 beast tamer. Moreover, possessing memories of her past life, she is far superior to an ordinary level 3 beast tamer. Looking at Wu Yixian's icy demeanor, Yi Fan's greed intensified. His gaze swept across the surroundings. The woods were deep and secluded, rarely visited by people, and an idea uncontrollably popped into his head. There are no outsiders here. If we capture her alive. Thinking of this, Yi Fan felt a surge of excitement. Without further hesitation, he waved his hand sharply. Little Black, keep him alive. Roar. Upon receiving its master's command, the 3-headed hellhound unleashed a deafening roar from all 3 heads simultaneously. With his limbs pushing off the ground, he transformed into a streak of black lightning, rushing straight towards Wu Yixian with a stench of blood. The 2 heads on the left and right opened their blood-red maws, spewing out scorching shadow fireballs and corrosive venom respectively, while the middle head bared its fangs and aimed to bite at Wu Yixian's fair neck. The offensive was ruthless, clearly demonstrating that the soldiers were well trained. Wu Yixian merely smiled dismissively and moved again. She seemed to transform into a fairy under the moon, easily dodging attacks from shadow fireballs and corrosive venom. As she faced the tearing bite of the middle head of the 3-headed hellhound, she brought her right index and middle fingers together, instantly condensing spiritual power, and her fingertip shone with a cool, moonlit glow, the shattering star finger. Uft! With a flick of his finger like a sword, he struck first despite being behind, precisely targeting the vital point between the eyebrows of the hellhound's head. Awa! The middle head let out a painful scream, and a bloody hole appeared between its eyebrows. Although this attack was not enough to kill the 3-headed creature, it instantly weakened it and halted its offensive. Because their lives were intertwined, Yi Fan, who was not far away, also coughed up a mouthful of blood, his pupils shrinking sharply. Hiss! Wu Yixian. She's actually this strong. If Uncle Wang were to make a move. Thinking about it, Yi Fan looked at Wu Yixian, who had already made another move. Etc. Wu Yixian. I admit defeat. The crimson blood grass is yours. Wu Yixian's fingertip stopped just an inch from the center of the left head of the 3-headed hellhound, her cold gaze sweeping towards Yi Fan with suspicion. Yi Fan loudly proclaimed, Wu Yixian. With so many people watching here, you can't possibly leave them all behind. The laws of the Great Xia Empire strictly prohibit beast tamers from fighting to the death in private. If you kill me, you should know the consequences once the news gets out. Upon hearing this, Wu Yixian slightly furrowed her brows. The Great Xia dynasty does have laws that prohibit beast tamers from killing each other. After all, beast tamers, especially those with potential, are extremely rare. There are now demonic beasts and monsters outside, and various alien races in the sky, all eyeing the human race with covetous intent. Therefore, how could the authorities possibly allow infighting? However, this is only on the surface. No one cares about it behind the scenes. After all, cultivation requires resources, and resources are limited. How can one become a strong person without competing and fighting? Therefore, the authorities have always turned a blind eye to this. But if the case is brought to the authorities, especially when a genius like Yi Fan, who has powerful backers, is killed, the authorities will definitely not tolerate it easily. Enough, a small act of impatience will ruin a great plan. Wu Yixian sneered inwardly. She seemed to stop, but the instant she withdrew her fingers, an extremely subtle and chilling aura, like an invisible needle, silently pierced deep into the skull of the hellhound's middle head. This is a hidden technique she learned in her previous life. Soul-eating hidden force. Those who are poisoned will initially be unharmed, but within 3 days, their soul will gradually dissipate as if eroded by a slow-acting poison, leading to sudden death, and it will be extremely difficult to find any trace of it. After doing all this, Wu Yixian gave Yi Fan a cold glance. I'll let you go this time. But next time, if you dare to mess with me again, you won't be so lucky. TSK, this silly girl is so kind. Su Han, who had been quietly hiding in Wu Yixian's sleeve, shook his head slightly as he watched the scene. They actually let the other party live for 3 more days? If you don't cut the weeds at the root, they'll grow back in the spring. Since we've already taken action, of course, leave no one alive. In an instant, the blue scales on Su Han's body emitted a fleeting, dazzling fluorescence. An invisible and intangible principle of heaven and earth, which contains the great way of water, spread outward silently from Su Han as the center. It resonated with the great Tao through the surging Crimson Dragon River not far away and the boundless, slumbering power of the water veins beneath it. Suddenly, countless fine ripples and bubbles appeared on the underwater riverbed, and the earth cracked open, as if an earth dragon were turning over. The water surges 3,000 miles. The marshland stretches 10,000 miles. Rise. Run. Silly girl. After doing all this, Su Han immediately flapped its little wings hard against Wu Yixian's neck, pointing towards the forest far away from the riverbank. You mean you want me to run? Suddenly sensing Su Han's unusual anxiety, Wu Yixian felt a bit exasperated. Silly fish, how can you be so cowardly? It's just a level 3 beast taming beast. With me here, what are you afraid of? Me, a coward? Su Han almost laughed out of anger at his silly girl's words. You silly girl, if you don't run now, when the Red Dragon River goes berserk, it will flood Jinshan Temple. Do you think you're like me, unafraid of water? Thinking about it, Su Han urged even harder, her little wings almost leaving after images as she flapped them. Although Wu Yixian was annoyed that her silly fish had suddenly become so cowardly, she ultimately couldn't resist Su Han's urging. Let's go. I'll leave, okay? After saying that, she once again used the moon shadow flowing immortal steps and headed towards the forest. Boss, are we just going to let her go like this? Watching Wu Yixian's departing figure, one of his followers said unwillingly, judging from how quickly she left, she must have almost exhausted her spiritual energy. She's probably at her last gasp. With so many of us, if we all rush in now. Looking in the direction Wu Yixian had left, Yi Fan's eyes flashed with resentment and coldness. He said to himself, let's go. Where is she going? Do you really think that my father would only let a few of us juniors handle such an important matter as harvesting the crimson blood grass? If I'm not mistaken, Father must have secretly sent Uncle Wang to follow us, but he won't show himself until it's a life-or-death situation, just to train me. He paused, a cold smile appearing on his face. Just now, Xiao He and I were injured, and our fighting aura was still so obvious. Uncle Wang must have sensed it. He's a level 1 beast tamer. That bitch Wu Yixian. She can't escape. Once she falls into Uncle Wang's hands, I'll make her know what happens when you offend me, Yi Fan. Thinking of Wu Yixian's aloof and beautiful face, about to be beneath him, Yi Fan felt a surge of heat in his heart, and even the pain in his body seemed to lessen somewhat. However, the smile on his face froze instantly. At this moment, the Crimson Dragon River seemed to be boiling, with countless bubbles rising from the ground. What happened? River. The Red Dragon River is rising. Run. Inside the fallen dragon forest. Hey, you silly fish. What are you so afraid of? It's just Yi Fan. As Wu Yixian sped along, she still wanted to scold her silly fish a couple more times. After all, she is the dignified Empress Wu Yixian of the Sun and Moon. How could her tamed beasts be so cowardly? She was determined to teach her silly fish a lesson today, to show it what it meant to be indomitable. But before Wu Yixian could finish speaking, rumble. Suddenly, a roar that seemed to come from the primordial era came from behind her. No, it wasn't a giant beast. It was the entire Crimson Dragon River roaring. What happened? Wu Yixian turned around in shock, only to see that the Crimson Dragon River, which had been surging just moments before, was now completely out of control. The river, which was hundreds of feet wide, suddenly rose by hundreds of meters, and the turbid, blood-red water, carrying tens of thousands of tons of silt, boulders, and trees, transformed into a huge wall of water that stretched from the sky to the earth. With overwhelming force and the power to destroy everything, it crashed down on the riverbank where she had just been, and on the spot where Yi Fan and the others were. The scene was as if the sky had collapsed. Boom! The desperate screams of Yi Fan and the others were instantly drowned out by the roar of the towering waves. Sun! Upon seeing this, a dark figure shot out from a large tree like a ghost, letting out a heart-wrenching roar. As he passed by Wu Yixian, he couldn't help but glare at her menacingly, his eyes filled with deep-seated resentment and murderous intent. But it was only for a moment. It seems that confirming Yi Fan's life or death is his top priority, rather than dealing with Wu Yixian. So he ignored Wu Yixian and rushed headlong into the riverbank that had already turned into a swamp. Wang Yingyao, the head butler of the Yi family, a beast tamer-level expert. When Wu Yixian saw the familiar figure passing by, she was shocked. He actually has been secretly following Yi Fan all along. If it weren't for the sudden, unpredictable eruption of the Crimson Dragon River, leaving Yi Fan's fate uncertain, I'm afraid he... For a moment, Wu Yixian was still shaken. She pushed the moon shadow-flowing immortal step to its limit, daring not to linger for even a moment, her figure rapidly disappearing into the distance among the trees, but at the same time, she couldn't help but lower her head, looking at Su Han with surprise and uncertainty. The sudden rise in the water level of the Qilong River, is it really just a coincidence? Does it have anything to do with my silly fish? If it's not related, why would my silly fish warn me to run away beforehand? But if it relates to... But as soon as the thought crossed her mind, Wu Yixian shook her head and rejected it. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. She murmured to herself, the Red Dragon River uprising is so powerful, it's almost like divine might. This silly fish only has the strength of a level 2 beast tamer. How could it possibly have the power to stir up the entire Crimson Dragon River? They're not even in the same league. In the end, Wu Yixian concluded that it was all a coincidence. After all, it was the season when the Red Dragon River was flooding, and his silly fish, as an aquatic beast, might have a special intuition for the drastic changes in water energy that far surpassed that of humans and other beasts. It's similar to how most animals can predict the arrival of an earthquake. This is the reasonable explanation in her mind. In fact, Wu Yixian's thinking was not wrong. After all, if it were really just a matter of demonic power to create such a powerful 100-meter-high wave, even Su Han, who was a kun-pan, would have to be at least at the level of a beast tamer or a monarch to do it. But what if it's just the last straw that breaks the camel's back? Su Han. Hands, wings would be fine. Just as Wu Yixian was pondering, Su Han patted her face with his little wings, rolled his eyes at her, and seemed to say, "Silly girl, you just called me a coward? And now, apologize to me." Wu Yixian looked at Su Han and was amused by its smug little expression. Then she remembered that she had indeed wronged it and felt a little guilty. As she continued moving at high speed, she gently stroked Su Han's cold scales with her fingers, her tone softening. Okay, I misunderstood you this time, I'm sorry. Thanks to your reminder, I escaped a disaster, and that old bastard Wang Yingyao too. I'll buy you a golden lion when we get back. Please forgive me, okay? Please. Seeing Wu Yixian's sincerity, Su Han raised his little head in satisfaction, then shrank back down, adopting an attitude of "I'll forgive you for now." Silly fish. Wu Yixian smiled helplessly, completely suppressing the last bit of unrealistic speculation in her heart. After all, now is not the time to delve into the matter. The most urgent task is to return to Donghai City immediately. With the Qilong River suddenly experiencing such a violent flood, the villages along its downstream banks are certainly in grave danger. She must send this message back to the city lord's mansion as soon as possible, organize manpower to evacuate the people, and carry out disaster relief. Meanwhile, outside the fallen dragon forest, atop a towering mountain, a low-key, unassuming carriage with a black pearl emblem hanging at the front, pulled by 4 extraordinary dragon horses exuding the aura of a beast tamer. At this moment, it suddenly stopped. On the carriage shaft, an elderly man in a white robe stood with his hands behind his back. His originally calm gaze turned to shock and solemnity as he looked toward the Red Dragon River. King level. At this moment, the carriage curtain was lifted by a slender hand, revealing the exquisite face of a young girl. She stared at the devastated, steaming scene in the distance, her face filled with disbelief. Grandpa Mu, according to the precise calculations made by the Imperial Observatory, the energy accumulation of the Qilong River's water veins has reached its peak, triggering a large-scale flood. It should be in about half a month. How could it be so much earlier than expected? Could it be that the Imperial Astronomical Bureau's calculations have gone wrong? The white-robed old man, known as Grandpa Mu, slowly shook his head. His gaze seemed to pierce through space, reaching the core of the turmoil in the underground water veins of the Crimson Dragon River. His voice was deep, tinged with disbelief. It wasn't that the Imperial Observatory made a mistake. The Imperial Observatory calculates the general trend of the natural operation of the energy of heaven and earth, but the premature eruption of the Crimson Dragon River this time is not a natural phenomenon, but rather, the underground water veins deep within the Crimson Dragon River have been prematurely detonated by the laws of heaven and earth. What? Deliberately detonated? The girl gasped in shock, her beautiful eyes widening. How is this possible? The Crimson Dragon River is a vast waterway with the aura of a true dragon. What terrifying power would be needed to forcibly activate it? The old man turned around, his face more serious than ever before. Xiaoya, immediately inform your city lord as quickly as possible. Tell him that there seems to be someone living in seclusion in Donghai City. A king-level powerhouse capable of invoking the laws of heaven and earth. King level. Su Mingyue's mouth gaped open, her pretty face filled with shock. In Liju City, only father is a king-level expert. How could this tiny Donghai City possibly? The old man's gaze was deep as he looked at the marshland again, his tone full of certainty. Besides those ancient species and mythical beasts that wield some of the power over heaven and earth, only a king-level expert who has a preliminary grasp of the laws of heaven and earth could so easily manipulate the earth's water veins and create this vast expanse of water. And those legendary ancient species all live in forbidden zones of life. Therefore, there is only one possibility. In Donghai City, there is a king-level expert whom we do not know, living in seclusion here. The old man sighed deeply as he finished speaking. I came here on the orders of the city lord to monitor the waterways and see if we can find a way to dredge them before the flood breaks out, so as to mitigate the disaster.
Now,
Fine. Since things have come to this, let's enter the city. Let's go and meet this mysterious king-level expert, who lives in seclusion in Donghai City, yet stirs up trouble with a mere flick of his wrist, causing even the Imperial Observatory of the capital to make inaccurate predictions. The carriage started up slowly again, heading along the mountain road towards the distant East Sea City. A storm is brewing, and the wind is howling. Outside Donghai City, Wu Yixian watched as a steady stream of residents, with their families, moved from the city gate into the city, which was protected by array formations. A hint of doubt flashed in the eyes of the city defense troops who were maintaining order and guiding the flow of people. How could the movement be so fast? The floodwaters of the Qilong River were immense, but there should have been a considerable time lag between the outbreak and the impact on the vicinity of Donghai City. She rushed back with all her might using the moon's shadow flowing immortal step, and her speed was already extremely fast. Logically speaking, the government's warning and evacuation orders should not have arrived before her. But soon she realized, that's right, the Qilong River stretches for thousands of miles, and there are people on both banks, not just in the place where Yifan and I are. Presumably, beast tamers from other places also noticed the sudden rise in water levels and notified the city lord's mansion in advance through means such as communication jade talismans. Thinking of this, Wu Yixian's tense nerves relaxed slightly. It seems this time there won't be too much damage. After all, this time of year is the flood season for the Qilong River. Donghai City has long had a mature emergency response and disaster relief mechanism, and the people are used to being prepared to evacuate at any time of year. In an instant, Wu Yixian stopped hesitating and quickly walked into the city with a flow of people. Although the city was somewhat chaotic, it was still orderly. Wu Yixian did not go home, but went straight to the most prosperous area in the city center, to the magnificent 7-story pavilion, Duobao Pavilion. Duobao Pavilion's business spans the entire Great Xia Empire. With immense wealth and a turnover of hundreds of billions of yuan, it can be described as a behemoth merchant guild of the empire. Wu Yixian plans to sell the crimson blood grass directly to Duobaog. The transaction of over 10,000 gold crystals is an absolute fortune in the eyes of ordinary people and even small families. But in Duobaog's eyes, it was nothing more than a drop in the ocean, and they would never have any ulterior motives about it, so there was no need to worry about safety. If you go to the black market, the price might be higher, but a common man is innocent, but possessing a treasure is a crime. Soon, Wu Yixian arrived at Duobaog. As always, Duobaog's reception was professional. The entire process of inspecting goods, estimating prices, and making the transaction was efficient and confidential. When Wu Yixian received the pale gold crystal card containing 21,000 gold crystal coins, her eyes were filled with excitement. Silly fish, we're rich now. We've escaped poverty. Walk. Buy cultivation resources, buy fish food, buy golden azure lions. Su Han nodded, a hint of anticipation flashing in her eyes. He was very curious. What exactly is the innate talent of that golden lion? Next, Wu Yixian first bought a storage ring of the lowest grade but practical enough to store the crystal card and important items in it. Then, without hesitation, she bought a full 100 boxes of Su Han's favorite fish food, blood ants. Finally, she went to the expensive cultivation resource area and bought 5 bottles of condensing source evolution liquid, which were suitable for her current cultivation level. This evolution fluid can accelerate the condensation and tempering of spiritual energy, which can greatly speed up her cultivation. Finally, I went to the black market and bought the golden lion cub. On the way home, "Hey, you spendthrift silly girl." Su Han leaned on Wu Yixian's shoulder, watching her spend 17,300 gold crystals without even blinking, and couldn't help but think to herself, I was the one who found the crimson blood grass, but you used most of it to buy storage rings and cultivation resources, and I only spent a small portion on food. But, complaints aside, Su Han understood very well that Wu Yixian's improved strength would also be of great benefit to him. After all, their lives were intertwined, and if Wu Yixian was too weak, it would be his most fatal weakness. Never mind, never mind. What can I do? I'll just spoil you, Su Han muttered helplessly. However, it seems that the two of us are destined to remain poor for the time being. Poverty. When will the spring flowers and autumn moon end? How much money has passed? Last night, the east wind blew again in my little building, and I can't bear to look back on my past debts. Under the bright moon, Wu Yixian probably thought 100 boxes of blood ants was a lot, but Su Han felt he could eat 20 boxes a day now. Currently, she has 3,700 gold crystals and 100 boxes of blood ants left, which is at most enough for Su Han to eat for more than 10 days. This is assuming Su Han doesn't continue to evolve. But soon, Su Han shook his head and stopped worrying about it. Money can be earned back, but going hungry to save money? That's unacceptable. After all, Su Han is still growing. Well, as a kun-pan, he may grow forever. When I got home, I closed the door tightly. Wu Yixian first took the golden lion cub out of her storage ring and placed it on the ground. Silly fish. Here's the golden blue lion you wanted. They're here. In an instant, Su Han leaped down from Wu Yixian's shoulder and stood in front of the golden lion, which was several times larger than him, his eyes filled with anticipation and excitement. The natal divine body, swallowing heaven and earth. As Su Han activated his innate divine power, an invisible devouring force instantly enveloped the golden azure lion. The incredibly surging essence of blood and qi within its body, like 100 rivers flowing into the sea, transformed into strands of golden blue light, which were continuously absorbed into Su Han's body. Devouring the golden azure lion, devouring speed plus 1.5. Devouring the golden azure lion, devouring speed plus 2.3. A sense of satisfaction spread through Su Han's body, and every cell was filled with joy. He could clearly feel his demonic power growing stronger little by little. This feeling of strengthening oneself by devouring everything is truly fascinating to fish. Su Han closed her eyes contentedly and couldn't help but sigh softly. Devouring the golden azure lion, devouring speed plus 1.8. After watching for a while, Wu Yixian was certain that her silly fish wouldn't change in the short term. She shook her head and sat down cross-legged. He then took out a bottle of valuable condensation evolution liquid from his storage ring. Once turned on, a refreshing and unique fragrance immediately filled the simple room. Looking at the crystal-clear jade bottle in her hand, Wu Yixian's eyes gleamed with excitement. I never expected. Wu Yixian, am only at the early stage of beast taming, and I never thought I would be able to use such a good thing. She muttered to herself, her gaze involuntarily falling on Su Han, who was intently eating. Silly fish, this time it's really all thanks to you. Don't worry, Wu Yixian, am not an ungrateful person. In the future, I will definitely treat you to the best of everything, find you a tank full of beautiful fish, and let you live the life of a harem of 3 palaces, 6 courtyards, and 72 concubines. Upon hearing this, Su Han rolled her eyes at her. Fairy you? Then I should thank you, right? Su Han only transmigrated into the body of a kun-pan, which doesn't mean he actually likes fish. The thought of a fish tank full of so-called beautiful fish posing seductively in front of her sent a chill down Su Han's spine. He shook his head, no longer thinking about it, and continued to devour the golden lion. Wu Yixian tilted her head back and carefully drank about 1/3 of the evolution fluid. A gentle yet powerful medicinal force instantly spread throughout her body. Wu Yixian dared not be negligent and immediately focused her mind, fully activating the sun and moon soaring through the sky scripture. At this moment, the room fell silent. Devouring the golden azure lion, devouring speed plus 3.3. Devouring the golden azure lion, devouring speed plus 1.8. Devouring the golden lion. The golden lion's body visibly shrank, and the life essence and bloodline talent contained within it were ruthlessly plundered, decomposed, and absorbed by Su Han's innate divine power, devouring heaven and earth. Time passed quietly. When the last wisp of golden blue blood energy within the golden lion's body was completely devoured by Su-han, leaving only a pool of black ash on the ground. Instantly, a feeling of drowsiness washed over me. Ugh, here we go again. You always fall asleep right after eating. Su-han mumbled a self-criticism in his sleep, then tilted his head to the side, resting his head on Wu Yixian's snow-white thighs, and fell into a deep sleep. In his sleep, a layer of golden blue light emanated from Su-han's body, quickly intertwining and condensing to form a radiant cocoon that completely enveloped him. I don't know how much time passed, perhaps the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, or perhaps more than an hour. The light on the cocoon gradually receded and finally, with a soft pop, it burst like a bubble and dissipated into the air. Then Su-han slowly woke up. This evolution seems to be much faster than before. Su-han rubbed her eyes with her little wings, looked at Wu Yixian, who was still cultivating with her eyes closed on the bed, and muttered something. Immediately, he couldn't wait to begin to feel the changes in himself. Yes, his size has obviously increased a lot. Previously, Su-han was only about 1 meter long, but now, roughly estimated, his length is close to 10 meters. Its enormous body almost filled half of the room. Fortunately, Wu Yixian's house was bare and spacious, otherwise he would have broken the house apart. As his size increased, he gained a surge of power. His muscle fibers became denser, his bones became stronger, and his demonic power level soared from 2.0 to 2.6. Su-han stretched his body with satisfaction, feeling the powerful energy flowing through his body. Not bad, not bad. Although this golden lion is not of high grade, it provides quite a lot of spiritual energy. Next up is the golden lion's innate talent. With a thought, a semi-transparent attribute panel appeared before Su-han's eyes. Name: Su-han. Race: kun-pan, juvenile. Rank: kun-pan, one of the 10 ancient fiends. Demon power: 2.6. Skills: none. Contractor: Wu Yixian. Innate divine abilities: devouring heaven and earth, kun-pan fighting technique, kun-pan nest, water strike of 3,000. Talents: golden azure dharma body, great strength beginner. 3%. Regeneration, not yet awakened. 5%. Talent: golden azure dharma body. The innate talent of the golden azure lion clan, allowing the individual to transform at will. Note: when enlarging, the size can increase by up to 100% and the strength increases by 100%. When shrinking, the size could decrease by a minimum of 10 centimeters and the strength will decrease accordingly as the size decreases. Golden azure dharma body. Looking at the description of the golden lion's innate talent, a hint of surprise flashed in Su-han's eyes. You've come at just the right time. Perhaps other beast tamers would care more about the enlargement effect of the golden azure dharma body, since it can increase their power, but Su-han felt that the shrinking talent of the golden azure dharma body was more suitable for him. After all, Su-han is a kun-pan. He has only evolved a few times, and his size has already reached about 10 meters. When it evolves again, it will probably be at least tens of meters long, right? If things continue like this, Su-han will never be able to ride his own pet again. Does that mean Wu Yixian will be able to ride him? A mere human pet, utterly defying the natural order. Even before, when Su-han evolved to the size of 1 meter, he was already thinking, our ancestors of the kun-pan clan, didn't you ever think that your descendants would be troubled by their large size when they were young? Why isn't there a shrinking ability among the early game innate talents? But Su-han soon understood. Their own kun-pan ancestors probably didn't have this problem. After all, if Su-han hadn't been bound by that silly girl Wu Yixian, he would have been living beneath the endless North Sea, let alone 10 meters. It doesn't matter if it's 100 meters or 1,000 meters. After all, when he first transmigrated, the dark shadows he saw beneath the endless North Sea were all as large as mountains. Let's see how it goes. Su-han concentrated his mind and guided the power of his newly acquired golden azure dharma body talent. Instantly, a strange demonic power flowed through his entire body. He could clearly feel his bones, muscles, and even every cell contracting and condensing under the influence of the demonic power. Whoosh! With a flash of light, Su-han's massive 10-meter-long body shrank rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few breaths, he turned into a small fish no bigger than the palm of your hand. Su-han looked down at her tiny body, then twisted her body slightly, carefully sensing her own power. Sure enough, the basic strength was reduced by about 50%. But this was of no consequence to Su-han, who possessed the talent of immense strength. Even with his size reduced and his strength halved, the pure physical power he can unleash still far surpasses that of other monsters of the same level. One punch could kill a demonic bull, which was no problem at all. After familiarizing himself with his shrunk state, Su-han nodded in satisfaction. He glanced out the window. It was already late at night. He glanced again at Wu Yixian beside him, who was still immersed in cultivation, his spiritual energy fluctuations subtly increasing. This silly girl won't wake up anytime soon. I just finished evolving, and I need to consolidate my progress as well. Sleep. Slurp. Twin Peaks. Welcome your king. Su-han comfortably adjusted his position, feeling that familiar sense of security and softness, and soon drifted back into sleep, consolidating the results of this absorption. The next day, as the first rays of sunlight shone through the simple window, Wu Yixian slowly awoke from her cultivation. She exhaled a long breath, feeling the increasingly abundant spiritual energy in her meridians and the clearly discernible increase in her cultivation level. She couldn't help but clench her fist. This evolution fluid is indeed expensive, for a reason, she whispered, her eyes gleaming with barely concealed excitement. In just one night, I absorbed almost half a bottle of the medicine's power, and its effects are almost equivalent to a week of my arduous training. For a moment, Wu Yixian clenched her fists slightly, her eyes filled with killing intent. The sea reaches its end. The sky becomes the shore. I climb to the summit of the mountain. I am the peak. In this life, my name, the Sun and Moon Empress, is destined to once again reign supreme over the world. Kun-pan Emperor, the day I slay you is one step closer. Just wait to die. Pooh. While still asleep, Su-han rolled her eyes when she heard her silly girl starting her Chinibu middle school syndrome spree again early in the morning, yelling that she should just wait to die. You heartless little brat. All you ever think about is how to kill your own natal beast. Without me, would you even have any evolution fluid to drink? Su-han ignored her, turned over, and continued sleeping. At this moment, Wu Yixian finally calmed down from her turbulent emotions and felt the strange touch coming from in front of her. She lowered her head slightly, her gaze falling on her front of her clothes. There was a small fish, about the size of a palm, with a soft halo of gold, blue, and white flowing around its body, and scales as exquisite as works of art, sleeping soundly. She was having some kind of sweet dream. Her little mouth was still opening and closing. Silly fish. Has this an evolutionary failure? Wu Yixian was startled. After all, Su-han's body length had reached 1 meter before. Now, when she woke up, her silly fish had suddenly turned back into the tiny fish she had when she first summoned it. It didn't look like a successful evolution at all. How can a beast tamed evolve to become smaller? But soon, Wu Yixian sensed something was wrong. After all, their own silly fish's demonic power had clearly increased, and it showed no signs of weakness. In the end, Wu Yixian couldn't figure it out and could only sigh. Her silly fish was really too strange. While others grow bigger, he actually grew back. Moreover, it looks quite ordinary, especially when it was first summoned by me. It was a tiny fish, lying on the ground belly up. Wu Yixian thought it wouldn't survive the day. But now Wu Yixian feels that her silly fish is not ordinary at all, but is particularly intelligent and human-like. But to say he is wise. But he had no thoughts whatsoever. Not even a thought. A long time. Wu Yixian could only shake her head and stop worrying about it. After all, the silly fish was her destined beast, sharing life and death with her. Just trust your own silly fish. That's enough. That's right. This is how a pet should behave. Stop thinking about how to kill me all the time. At this moment, Su Han smiled. Wu Yixian, on the other hand, had no idea what her silly fish was thinking. She stood up, looked out the window at the drizzling rain, and a hint of worry flashed in her eyes. With Wang Yingyao's strength, it's impossible for him to be swallowed up by the Crimson Dragon River. Based on my understanding of Yi Tian from my previous life, he is a person who is extremely vengeful. Even if I am completely innocent and Yi Fan's death has nothing to do with me, he will never let it go. So how will he take his revenge? Wu Yixian thought back to her past life, when Yi Tian relied on being the owner of the largest beast-taming business in Donghai City and had a large amount of beast-taming resources in his hands. They often take advantage of their tamed beasts going out of control, or by giving their tamed beasts to their enemies, in order to legally use others to do their dirty work. It seems that my duel with Bai Weiwei won't be so easy. Wu Yixian shook her head. After all, the Bai family's power is not as great as the Yi family's, so they want to curry favor with Yi Tian or gain some benefits. They are very likely willing to be the knife. Donghai City, the city center. The top floor of the vast Yi family beast-taming building. The atmosphere in the lavishly decorated office, covered with thick, expensive carpets, was incredibly oppressive. Fanner, he really... An old man's voice was hoarse and dry, and his face was so gloomy it seemed to drip water. I'm sorry, sir. I failed to protect young master. Wang Yingyao's voice choked with emotion, as if he had lost his son, and he shook his head helplessly. Useless. Idiot. I sent you to follow Fanner, so you could protect him. Is this how you protect him? What use are you to me? Yi Tian suddenly sprang up, like an enraged lion, and kicked Wang Yingyao hard in the shoulder. Wang Yingyao was kicked and rolled away, but dared not utter a word of complaint. He immediately knelt down again, repeatedly saying, Your subordinate deserves to die. Your subordinate deserves to die. Yi Tian's chest heaved violently as he panted heavily, his eyes filled with murderous intent as he stared intently at Wang Yingyao. For a fleeting moment, he genuinely wanted to kill the negligent butler with his bare hands. But in the end, he remembered that his wife was his own sister. Yi Tian forcibly suppressed his surging killing intent, slumped back into the sofa, and closed his eyes. Call. After a long while, he finally let out a long sigh. Don't tell Xiaoya about this yet. She just found out she's pregnant again and can't handle this kind of shock. Instantly, Wang Yingyao looked up sharply. Yeah, cough, my sister is pregnant again? Yi Tian nodded. Yes, I didn't have time to tell you. My child, our Wang family line has not died out. Wang Yingyao was overjoyed and murmured to himself. Looking at Wang Yingyao, Yi Tian frowned slightly. After all, it was clear that the Yi family line had not ended, but in the end, he still shook his head. We can only assume that he was just unable to cope with the shock of his nephew's death and spoke without thinking. By the way, Lao Wang. Yi Tian opened his eyes again, his gaze regaining the calm and calculating look of a businessman, but beneath that calm lay a chilling, killing intent. You said before that Fanna had a conflict with a girl named Wu Yixian before he died, because of his love for her? Yes, sir. Wang Yingyao replied respectfully. Let her be buried with Fanner. Wang Yingyao's eyes narrowed slightly. Master, you suspect that the young master's death is related to her. Yi Tian waved his hand. No. The Red Dragon River's currents are so violent and unpredictable that they could not have been caused by a mere novice beast tamer like me. I just wanted to make Fanner less lonely over there. Upon hearing this, Wang Yingyao nodded, seemingly agreeing. Then, sir, I'll go kill him right now. No. A big shot came to Donghai City yesterday. We are all law-abiding citizens. Yi Tian said, pondering for a moment. Here's what you'll do. Go and deliver a level 6 juvenile beast to the Bai family. Didn't the intelligence report say that Bai Weiwei and that little girl had a duel? Level 6? But Wang Yingyao was somewhat puzzled. After all, Bai Weiwei is only a level 3 beast tamer. Even if her Bai family has a secret pill that allows her to contract a second beast in advance without exploding and dying, it's still a problem. However, a level 6 beast tamer cannot be contracted by a level 3 beast tamer. Level 3 beast tamer, blood coagulation pill. Temporary contract with a level 6 beast tamer, just right. Wang Yingyao suddenly realized, a temporary contract. It can't be fully controlled and could go completely berserk at any moment. Your Excellency is wise. I will take care of it right away. The residence of Wu Yixian in the suburbs of Donghai City. Sitting by the window, Wu Yixian continued to watch the continuous drizzle, her fair hands catching the raindrops outside. Even with the Bai family's vast supply of pills, Bai Weiwei could only be a level 3 beast tamer at most, since pills can develop resistance. As for her natal beast, the Gale Wolf, although it has been upgraded to the level 3 beast taming level with the help of the blood-breaking pill, its foundation is unstable and it will not be able to withstand the power of any pills for the next 6 months. If we add the Bai family's secret meridian strengthening pill, which would allow Bai Weiwei to form a contract with her second beast 2 levels earlier. A level 3 beast tamer can contract a level 5 beast at most. A level 3 beast tamer, a level 3 beast, and a level 5 beast. This is really troublesome, she muttered to herself, a hint of helplessness on her lips. Although Wu Yixian is the reborn empress of the sun and moon, possessing countless combat experiences and cultivation techniques from her previous life, she is ultimately powerless to cook without rice. For the past 18 years, in order to form a contract with a natal beast with unlimited potential, she has devoted almost all her energy and resources to honing her mental strength. For martial arts skills and spiritual energy cultivation related to actual combat, it is only a secondary cultivation. But who could have known? With tears welling up in her eyes, Wu Yixian raised her hand and took out the fish necklace, which was fast asleep, from her chest. This silly fish, can it even handle one? But soon, looking at her own silly fish, which was only the size of a palm and had a miniature, petite size, she couldn't associate her own silly fish with words like powerful or combat capable. This stupid fish probably wouldn't even be enough to fill the teeth of a Gale Wolf. Call. Wu Yixian took a deep breath, a resolute glint in her eyes, and gently placed Su Han back in his reserved seat. Since that's the case, silly fish, I will protect you. Su Han rolled her eyes as she looked at Wu Yixian, who had a resolute expression and was ready to fight to the death. That silly girl who judges by appearances, isn't she just a level 3 beast and a level 5 beast tamer? Su Han now possesses the dual power of the giant strength talent and the golden azure dharma body, combined with the kun-pan clan's innate divine ability, the kun-pan fighting technique. Just how strong is his full power? Su Han himself doesn't know. He really wanted to give it a try. And Su Han looked at the black and gold dragon-carved ancient ring inside his kun-pan nest. It's a good opportunity to try out the effects of the death-defying ring. Su Han felt a sense of anticipation, but soon he shook his head. I'm a little hungry. Looking at the blood ant box on the desk, the fish tail swayed on the soft surface and then leaped. Devoured blood ants, devouring rate plus 0.5. Devoured blood ants, devouring rate plus 0.3. The notification sounds rang incessantly, and a box of valuable blood ants disappeared at a visible speed. TSK Tisk. Who exactly researched this little gadget? Pure essence of blood and qi, without the slightest impurity of other spiritual attributes. How qi. Su Han ate with relish, a look of satisfaction in his eyes, and finished the box in no time. Not yet satisfied, he immediately set his sights on the next box. Carrot, #for all. 3 minutes? You finished a whole box of blood ants in 3 minutes. Wu Yixian watched her silly fish devouring the blood ant box, her lips twitching, her heart bleeding. My little money, my little money. Wu Yixian wondered if it was just her imagination, but it seemed like her silly fish had shrunk in size, but was eating even more. Why? In the end, Wu Yixian shook her head and took out a brand new bottle of condensing essence evolution liquid. Eat up, eat as much as you want. If you lose in 3 days. Wu Yixian tilted her head back and drank the entire bottle of the brand new condensing essence evolution liquid. I'll splurge a little. As the potent medicinal power dissipated, Wu Yixian immediately sat down cross-legged and began to fully circulate the sun and moon soaring through the sky scripture. The room fell silent again, with only the rustling sounds of Su Han eating and Wu Yixian's even, deep breathing intermingling. Donghai City, City Lord's Mansion. Gao Yi, the once all-powerful and authoritative lord of Donghai City, now stood respectfully with his hands at his sides outside the door of an elegant guest room. After carefully tidying his clothes, he dared to gently knock on the door. Master Mu, Miss Su, I apologize for disturbing you. I have already made a preliminary verification of the list of people who went to the upstream area before the Qilong River surged. Have you found out? The door creaked open from the inside, revealing Su Mingyue's exquisitely beautiful face, which showed a hint of urgency. Lord Gao, tell me quickly, who are they? Gao Yi quickly bowed and said, Miss Su, these days are the flood season, so there aren't many people going to the upper reaches of the Qilong River. After investigation, it was found that the people who had been to the upstream area in the last period before the flood broke out were mainly from two groups. He paused slightly, organizing his thoughts. One side is a team sent by the Yi family, a renowned beast-taming family in the city, led by Wang Yingyao, the Yi family's chief steward. They seem to be there to handle some family affairs. The Yi family? Wang Yingyao. At this moment, an old man in white robes walked to the door, and Gao Yi quickly nodded respectfully. Yes, Lord Mu. However, of all the people from the Yi family who went there, apart from Wang Yingyao, the Yi family's chief steward, all the others died in the raging waters of the Qilong River. Su Mingyue frowned slightly and looked at Mu Qingfeng. Grandpa Mu, could it be this Wang Yingyao? Mu Qingfeng's gaze was deep as he shook his head. It's not clear yet. I need to meet him in person. Then he looked at Gao Yi. Besides the Yi family, is there another group? There is another one, or rather one of them. She is a student in Class 1, Grade 12 of Donghai City's No. 1 high school, named Wu Yixian. Wu Yixian. Su Mingyue was stunned for a moment when she heard the name. Just then, a crystal-clear mechanical voice rang out in Su Mingyue's mind without warning.
Ding!
A prodigy with unparalleled talent has been detected. Clinging to his coattails, cough cough, the More Friends, More Paths system is officially activated. System. Su Mingyue's eyes were filled with surprise. I actually have a system? Thinking back to some novels I'd casually read to pass the time, about people who relied on systems to rule the world, I wondered, am I, Su Mingyue, actually the chosen one? System. I won the newbie gift pack. In her mind, Su Mingyue excitedly shouted at the tiny, white, semi-transparent system figure, about the size of a thumb. What are you thinking about? Clinging to someone's coattails, cough cough, having more friends means having more options. The system's sprite rolled its eyes at Su Mingyue. I am just a piece of garbage system created by a few emperor-level old men of your human race in your previous life. What kind of newbie gift pack is this? Then, should I add some points to Deep Blue? Su Mingyue asked cautiously. That won't work either. So, what can you do? Upon hearing this, the system's sprite immediately perked up. I can help you get revenge. In your past life, you were possessed by that wicked, immoral, treacherous, vicious, and extremely wicked demon. Stop, stop, stop.
What?
My past life? What are you talking about? Su Mingyue was completely bewildered. Looking at Su Mingyue's bewildered expression, the system's spirit shook its head, saying, having more friends means having more options. I don't know either. You don't know either? Su Mingyue asked with a strange expression. Yeah, right. The system's sprite looked at me with an expression that said, I don't know what the problem is. Didn't I already say that? I was created by several elders of your human race before they died. I was thrown into a spatial rift as soon as I was born. What could I possibly know? Then what did you say about revenge? Su Mingyue asked, puzzled. The system's sprite became excited again at the mention of revenge. Come on, host. In this life, let us join forces, unite the talents of the world, and together defeat that eternal master of the demon race, the first true immortal in the mortal realm, and single-handedly pacify the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Kun-pan Emperor? The great emperor, kun-pan Emperor? Su Minghua pointed at herself in disbelief. You're letting me? Go and defeat that kun-pan Emperor, the master of the demon race for all ages, the first true immortal in the mortal realm, who single-handedly swept across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. I, Su Minghua, am merely a lowly level 4 beast tamer. What merit do I possess? What benefits can you offer me? Something to help me grow quickly?
No.
And that won't work either. Oh my god. Seeing how brazenly she wanted to freeload off her system spirit, Su Minghua was utterly speechless. So, what exactly is the effect of your stupid system? Upon hearing this, the system sprite put its hands on its hips with a smug look on its face. I can tell you who has the potential to become a strong person in the future, so you can latch onto their coattails in advance. Isn't that amazing? Su Minghua was a little doubtful. That's it. Isn't that enough? The system's sprite said smugly. But host, you need to be careful. To prevent the kun-pan Emperor from discovering our human race's ambition for revenge beforehand, host, you must not reveal my information to anyone in any form, otherwise you will bang. Clear? Su Minghua nodded, her eyes filled with despair. I understand now, so my system is useless. Go on. Why do I want to defeat the kun-pan Emperor? Because the kun-pan Emperor will slaughter the entire human race in the future. That will naturally include you, host, so you must defeat him. Upon hearing this shocking news, Su Minghua's eyes instantly filled with solemnity and confusion. System. We humans and demons are native races of Blue Star, and we are natural allies when facing the myriad races of the starry sky. Although there's not much trust between them, there's no blood feud either, right? Why would a demon emperor like him want to massacre our human race on such a large scale? Host, because the future human emperor has invaded the kun-pan Emperor's dojo, the forbidden zone of life, the abyss land, the endless North Sea, has been breached. Su Minghua looked at her system with a strange expression. So that means? The kun-pan Emperor was merely protecting himself, yet our human race crumbled at the slightest touch. Forehead. The system sprite was taken aback, then looked somewhat guilty. You could say that? Then why don't we just not invade the forbidden zone of life, the abyss land, the endless North Sea? Wouldn't we still be allies then? Instantly, the system's sprite froze on the spot. Alarm. Alarm. System error. System error. At this moment, the system sprite's eyes were swirling with swirls, and its tiny head was covered in white smoke. CPU burned out? What a garbage system. Su Minghua was completely speechless. However, although the system is a bit rubbish and can't help me get stronger at all, and it doesn't have any memories of my past life, it still has some use when I think about it carefully. After all, having more friends means having more options. Thinking about it, Su Minghua looked at the system spirit. System, you just said that you detected a genius with unparalleled talent. Is there such a genius in Donghai City? Yes, yes. Upon hearing that Su Minghua was preparing to return to her system mission track, the system's sprite instantly snapped back to reality. I had detected 2 exceptionally talented individuals in Donghai City. Host, we must latch onto their powerful backers. Only by joining forces with them can we possibly kill the kun-pan Emperor in the future. Just as Su Minghua was about to say something more, she suddenly heard someone calling her name. Bright Moon, little Bright Moon? Su Minghua snapped back to her senses and found her grandfather Mu standing in front of her, while Gao Yi, the city lord of Donghai City, had left at some point. What's wrong, Grandpa Mu? Mu Qingfeng looked at Su Minghua and asked, I was about to ask you the same thing. What are you thinking about? You seem so engrossed. It's nothing, it's nothing. Su Minghua felt a little guilty. After all, the system had told her not to reveal any information about it. Although she thought the system was useless, it was still created by the great emperor, and its rules were not something a mere beast tamer like her could break. Thinking about it, Su Minghua looked at Mu Qingfeng, who was still acting somewhat strangely, and changed the subject. By the way, Grandpa Mu, now that we know who went to the upper reaches of the Red Dragon River, shall we go and meet them? All right, now we're certain who the hidden king-level expert is. Hearing Su Mingyue get down to business, Mu Qingfeng stopped worrying about what had happened to the girl earlier. After all, everyone has their little secrets. So he nodded. All right, let's start with the Yi family then. Half an hour later. Grandpa Mu, is that him? At this moment, Su Mingyue, who had already walked out of the Yi family building, looked at Mu Qingfeng and asked curiously. No. Mu Qingfeng shook his head firmly. Although he has some strength, he is only at the level of a beast tamer. He does not have the slightest aura of the laws of heaven and earth. It is absolutely impossible for him. So, it seems that only Wu Yixian can be it? As Su Mingyue spoke, she looked at the map in her hand that marked the address of Wu Yixian's home, as well as the virtual system map on the system page that marked the current locations of the two peerless geniuses in Donghai City. The location is exactly the same, Su Mingyue thought to herself with a strange feeling. Mu Qingfeng nodded. Next, let's go see that classmate who's only a senior high school student. Wu Yixian. On the outskirts of Donghai City, in Wu Yixian's small courtyard. Hiccup. Su Han patted his stomach, looked at the 40 empty boxes in front of him, and his demonic power increased to 2.7 and let out a satisfied burp. That feels so good. Immediately, Su Han flicked her fishtail and swoosh. I returned to my assigned seat, ready to take a nap and digest my food. While cultivating, Wu Yixian sensed something amiss in front of her. She opened her eyes slightly and saw her own silly fish. She smiled and gently stroked her silly fish. It's a bit silly, but it's kind of cute. Huh. Before Wu Yixian could finish speaking, her mouth suddenly opened wide. Damn stupid fish. Wu Yixian grabbed Su Han, who was about to go to sleep and digest her food, and pointed at the 40 empty boxes with trembling fingers, her eyes filled with disbelief. Now you ate 40 boxes in one sitting? Huh. Su Han nodded. Otherwise what? One box contains 15 gold crystals, 10 boxes contain 150 gold crystals, and 40 boxes would contain 600 gold crystals. Wu Yixian counted on her fingers and muttered to herself, 600 a day, 6,000 in 10 days, that's 219,000 a year? In an instant, the impoverished Empress Sun and Moon thought, the sky has collapsed. Wu Yixian looked at her silly fish with utter despair. Heavens! Is there any quick way to make money? Otherwise, I won't be able to afford to keep my silly fish. Just then, ding-dong. The doorbell of Wu Yixian's room suddenly rang. Hello, is Miss Wu Yixian home? Mu Qingfeng, the Grand Elder of Liju City, has come to pay his respects, accompanied by Su Mingyue, the daughter of the City Lord of Liju City. Mu Qingfeng, the Grand Elder of Liju City, and Su Mingyue, the daughter of the City Lord of Liju City. Wu Yixian was slightly taken aback. She knew both of them. Mu Qingfeng, the Grand Elder of Liju City, a level 9 Monarch Beastmaster, a peak Monarch-level expert, and currently the second strongest expert in the East Sea Province. Su Mingyue, the Holy Lord of Bright Moon in her previous life, was just one step away from reaching the Emperor level. Why would they suddenly come to visit me? Wu Yixian was filled with doubt. After all, in their previous life, at this point in time, Mu Qingfeng and Su Mingyue had also come to Donghai City, but they left after obtaining the treasures in the Shipwreck Bay's secret realm. There was absolutely no interaction between him and her, an ordinary high school student. Our true acquaintance will only come after she rises to prominence and becomes famous. That's when she met Su Mingyue, who was also a powerful figure at the time. The two women admire each other because they are both top female experts, but they become enemies due to their rivalry for the title of #1 female cultivator in the world. Well, to be precise, Su Mingyue always wanted to kill her so she could become the #1 female cultivator in the world. As for Wu Yixian, She didn't mind teaching this arrogant little sister a lesson from time to time, which brought a little different fun to her boring cultivation life. Especially when I think back to my past life after I advanced to the emperor level. Su Mingyue invited him to bathe in the hot spring, intending to ambush him, but instead he was trampled underfoot. In a true sense, trampled underfoot. Whenever Wu Yixian thought of her lying on the ground, struggling helplessly and furiously, a smile couldn't help but rise in her heart. But she quickly restrained herself. After all, she and Su Mingyue were complete strangers in this life. Soon, Wu Yixian opened the door. Standing outside the door was Mu Qingfeng, whose aura was profound and imposing, and beside him was a bright-eyed, white-toothed girl, Su Mingyue, who was looking at him with a hint of curiosity. Wu Yixian gave a slight bow. "Greetings, Lord Mu, and Miss Su Mingyue. May I ask why you two have come to see me?" Upon seeing Wu Yixian, Mu Qingfeng's brows furrowed almost imperceptibly. He was quite certain that the high school girl in front of him was definitely not a king-level beast tamer. Although he himself was not at the king level, he was only one step away from it. Now, he did not feel any pressure from the girl in front of him. Strange, she's not that hidden king-level expert either. Could it be related to the Crimson Dragon River incident? Did I sense something wrong? Mu Qingfeng was puzzled. Su Mingyue, standing to the side, looked on with surprise, even a sense of absurdity. Her gaze passed over Wu Yixian and fell in disbelief at the tiny fish hanging in front of Wu Yixian's pair of large, evil eyes. It was like a necklace, only the size of a palm, and shimmered with a strange luster of gold, white, and blue. System. I can understand that Wu Yixian is a prodigy, but are you sure you're not really bad? Su Mingyue loudly questioned her system in her mind. This little fish that looks more like a decoration actually possesses unparalleled beauty. Host, I swear. The system sprite, perched on Su Mingyue's shoulder, its excited face flushed, exclaimed, "This Wu Yixian girl's talent is already dazzling enough, but what's even more dazzling is that little fish on her body." The radiant potential emanating from that little fish was simply like the rising sun. Unprecedented. Unprecedented indeed. The system sprite was so excited it was incoherent, but the meaning was clear. That fish was absolutely a genius. Upon hearing this, Su Mingyue's expression became even stranger. She simply couldn't connect that lazy little fish, which seemed like it might fall asleep at any moment, with words like incredible combat power and peerless prodigy. Host, you're incredibly lucky, the system's sprite continued excitedly. The master is a prodigy, and so is the beast tamer. As long as you cling to their coattails, you have a very good chance of slaying the Kunping Emperor and protecting humanity from extinction. Dude. Su Han had only wanted to see who was knocking on the door and disturbing her afternoon nap. But looking at the unfamiliar girl in front of him, and the white, semi-transparent, thumb-sized system figure standing on the girl's shoulder, he originally intended to pretend he hadn't seen it. After all, we already have reborn individuals, so what's the problem with having one with a system? But you were yelling at me in front of my face about how you wanted to kill me, and you even wanted me to kill myself. That's going too far. Depend on. Su Han cursed under his breath. There are always treacherous subjects trying to harm me. However, the Avengers? That's interesting too. Although Su Han didn't know why he could see the girl system, and even the name of the system. Lackey system. What kind of lousy name is that? There isn't even a reward distribution function. All you can see is who has the highest potential. Who on earth was the brilliant mind who developed this system? Su Han was speechless. How could there be such a terrible system in the world? While Su Han was making his comments, Wu Yixian was also looking at the system avatar, but her eyes lit up. Slay the Kunping Emperor? In this life, Su Mingyue and I are actually kindred spirits. Hey. Su Han instantly gave Wu Yixian a small wing. You and she are kindred spirits. She's going to kill your adorable tamed beast. Aren't you going to do anything about it? However, seeing Wu Yixian's excitement and murderous intent, Su Han sighed helplessly. Fine, if you don't care, fine. But what's with that excited look on your face? In the end, seeing that Wu Yixian was completely unaware of his meaning, Su Han stopped worrying about it. After all, he was speechless with frustration. What a piece of trash system this is. It's leaky on all sides. I can see it, and Wu Yixian can see it too. Only that stupid old man over there can't see anything. Could it be because Wu Yixian and I have strong talents, or because Wu Yixian is a reincarnated person and I am her tamed beast? Su Han didn't know, but he still wanted to scoff. Trash system. You think you can harm me with this? Tisk. At this moment, Mu Qingfeng had recovered from his initial scrutiny and shook his head slightly at Su Mingyue. Little Mingyue, let's go. She's not that hidden king-level being. Wait, Grandpa Mu. However, before Mu Qingfeng could finish speaking, Su Mingyue suddenly interrupted him. She forced what she thought was her sweetest, most harmless smile, stepped forward, and said to Wu Yixian, "Hello, Sister Wu Yixian. My name is Su Mingyue and I come from Liju City." Huh. Wu Yixian was somewhat surprised. When did Su Mingyue, this little devil, become so well-behaved? Despite her doubts, Wu Yixian maintained her polite demeanor and nodded slightly. "Hello, Sister Mingyue. Sister Yixian, shall I take you to a fun place? It's right near Shipwreck Bay, very close." Shipwreck Bay. A glint flashed in Wu Yixian's eyes. The Shipwreck Bay secret realm? In my past life, at this time, Mu Qingfeng and Su Mingyue did indeed take away the treasures from Shipwreck Bay. But in this life, they actually took the initiative to invite me? Wu Yixian was puzzled. Is it because of the system's instructions, or because of the butterfly effect caused by my own rebirth? In fact, not only Wu Yixian but also Mu Qingfeng, who was standing to the side, did not understand what Su Mingyue meant. Little Mingyue. Mu Qingfeng couldn't help but transmit his voice to Su Mingyue. Do you know the importance of Shipwreck Bay? That's one of the secret places left behind by the true dragon, one of the 10 ancient fiends, before its fall. Why would you suddenly want to invite a stranger to go there together? Hearing Mu Qingfeng's question, Su Mingyue shook her head. Grandpa Mu, it's hard to say right now, but you have to believe me. Besides, all these years have passed and we've gained nothing, haven't we? Su Mingyue had her own little schemes. She was just a lowly level 4 beast tamer. Although her talent wasn't bad, she once fantasized that she was the chosen one. However, her natal beast was merely a white fox, a demonic beast. The system rated her monster as average. But looking at Wu Yixian, her fish fry, whose exact species was unknown, was being so enthusiastically praised by her system, which claimed its potential was like the rising sun. By all accounts, Wu Yixian seems more like the chosen one than he does. The chosen one often means that wherever she goes, opportunities will follow. Since that's the case, I'll just take her to Shipwreck Bay. No gain, it doesn't matter. But if she actually succeeds, shouldn't she remember her kindness? In the future, even if I get some benefits from her, I can still eat my fill. This is better than guarding a treasure mountain but being unable to enter. Right? Sister Wu Yixian, I don't want to work hard anymore, hee. Mu Qingfeng looked at his young master, who seemed lost in thought, and suddenly started grinning inexplicably. However, although he didn't know what his young master was really thinking, what she said, that is indeed the case. It is clear that since the generation of their young master Su Tianshuang, their Su family has already mastered the secret that there is a true dragon inheritance in Shipwreck Bay. But as a result, the Su family gained nothing in the past 50 years. Mu Qingfeng didn't have any hope when he came to Donghai City. He just thought that in the process of managing the Crimson Dragon River, he would let his young master try to see if he could obtain the inheritance of the true dragon. That's why he brought Su Mingyue, who was about to take the college entrance examination, to Donghai City. Never mind. Since Xia Minji wants to take this little girl named Wu Yixian with her, there's no need for me to stop her, since she'll probably return empty-handed again. In the end, Mu Qingfeng shook his head and compromised. All right then, Grandpa will do as you say. Grandpa Mu is the best. Seeing that her grandfather Mu was no longer stopping her, Su Mingyue excitedly looked at Wu Yixian again. Sister Ishian, please go. I guarantee you won't regret it. At this moment, Su-han looked at Su Mingyue, who was once again full of anticipation, and invited Wu Ishian. She glanced again at Wu Ishian, who still seemed hesitant and unsure of Su Mingyue's true intentions. Su-han couldn't help but step on her wickedness. Silly girl, go. Why aren't you going? Last time I couldn't see what was inside the second layer of restrictions, but this time we have free henchmen. Why waste such a good thing? As for Su Mingyue, she just doesn't want to work hard anymore and wants to curry favor with powerful people. At this moment, seeing Su-han's apparent anxiety, Wu Ishian vaguely understood Su-han's thoughts. Silly fish wants to go? Fine. In the end, Wu Ishian nodded to Su Mingyue, choosing to believe her silly fish. All right, Mingyue, then I shall respectfully accept your offer. Very good. Su Mingyue was excited, and then she grabbed Wu Ishian's arm. Sister Ishian, let's go quickly.
Ding.
Congratulations, host, on your first successful attempt to curry favor with someone powerful. Reward none. Get out of here. Su Mingyue rolled her eyes at the trashy system that was happily showering her with flowers on her shoulder, but not giving her a single reward. Fortunately, my talent, while not top-notch, is still among the best. Otherwise, even with this system of having multiple friends and multiple paths, I could starve to death. Friendships between young people sometimes come about inexplicably. Mu Qingfeng looked at the two girls who had suddenly become close and shook his head. Then, he flicked his sleeve and said, "In that case, let's go." After saying that, a faint blue halo appeared around him, and a gentle yet powerful force lifted Su Mingyue and Wu Ishian up. The three of them transformed into a streak of light and flew towards Shipwreck Bay. The light traveled at an extremely fast speed. In less than half an incense stick's time, the familiar bay, with its towering reefs and the sound of waves crashing against the shore, reappeared before Su-han and Wu Ishian's eyes. The stone dragon still maintains its posture of raising its head towards the sea. Its mottled body is covered with moss, yet it still exudes a desolate and majestic aura. A salty, damp sea breeze swept over me. Looking at the enormous stone dragon statue entering the sea, Wu Ishian's heart involuntarily quickened. The brush with death I experienced here last time is still fresh in my memory. Su Mingyue was filled with excitement and curiosity. This was the first time she had observed this place of true dragon inheritance so closely, outside of the family records. But then, she seemed to remember something. With a wave of her hand, a pure white fox with lively eyes landed lightly on the reef. Immediately, she eagerly asked, "Grandpa Mu, shall we begin?" Mu Qingfeng nodded and walked solemnly to a spot 3 zhang directly in front of the stone dragon. He held his breath and slowly raised his hands, forming one complex and ancient hand seal after another. As he moved, pure and powerful water-based beast-taming energy surged from his body, outlining a series of azure runes in the air. These runes seemed to have a life of their own, and they were thrown towards the stone dragon one by one. Buzz! A deep humming sound emanated from inside the stone dragon, as if a colossal beast that had slumbered for millennia had been awakened. Suddenly, 2 faint yet unsettling lights appeared in Shilong's previously empty eye sockets. Then, something unexpected happened. The seawater beneath the stone dragon instantly turned pitch black, followed by a thick, unyielding pillar of blood-red light, seemingly formed from endless blood. Suddenly, it shot into the sky from the center of the vortex. The beam of light pierced the sky, dyeing the evening sky with an eerie and oppressive dark red. Even in Donghai City, which was more than 10 miles away, this unsettling, celestial phenomenon could be clearly seen. Huh! Mu Qingfeng frowned slightly, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. I remember the time I came here 10 years ago. The magic circle was clearly blue. But this time, why is the magic circle blood red? Perhaps, Grandpa Mu, you've misremembered? Su Mingyue showed no worry whatsoever. After all, the chosen ones were all here, so what was there to worry about? Isn't it only natural to turn bad luck into good luck? She was even a little excited, feeling that this crimson pillar of light was far more powerful than the blue magic array recorded in the family notes. Maybe this time, we can really gain something. Thinking it over, Su Mingyue looked at Wu Yixian affectionately. Let's go, Sister Yixian. But Wu Yixian did not take a step immediately. Instead, he stared at the blood-red pillar of light shooting into the sky, his brows furrowed slightly. The restriction she saw when she was on the verge of death last time was clearly a dark and deep blue. Now, this strange blood-red magic circle made her instinctively feel uneasy. Silly girl, giddy up, giddy up. Just as she hesitated, Su Han in front of her patted her with his little wings, impatiently. After all, among everyone, only Su Han knew why this time it was a blood-red magic array. That's because the first layer of blue restriction had already been swallowed by him and turned into nourishment for the kun-pan nest. What is now being revealed is the second layer of restriction that was originally hidden underneath. And this barrier was originally blood-red. Silly fish you. Wu Yixian felt the little wings patting her chest. Her cheeks flushed slightly, and then she lightly flicked her silly fish on the head in embarrassment and annoyance. But her doubts lessened slightly. After all, her own silly fish, although not very strong in combat, had a very accurate intuition. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to obtain that priceless crimson blood grass. Let's go. Wu Yixian took a deep breath and nodded to Su Mingyue. Let's go, let's go. At this moment, Mu Qingfeng watched as Su Mingyue, arm in arm with Wu Yixian, excitedly walked towards the barrier and couldn't help but remind her. Little Mingyue, remember? If you sense anything is wrong, immediately activate the life-saving Jade Talisman. I will forcibly interrupt the spiritual energy transfer and pull you out. I understand, Grandpa Mu. Don't worry. Su Mingyue waved her hand without turning her head and continued walking forward with Wu Yixian in her arms. Mingyue, isn't Senior Mu coming in with us? Wu Yixian asked curiously. This restriction is very strange. Experts whose strength exceeds that of a beast master are rejected by the rules and cannot enter at all, so we have to go in on our own. Wu Yixian suddenly realized. So that's how it is. Looking at the towering crimson pillar of light, Su Han was filled with anticipation. Last time, the item inside the barrier was the death ring. I wonder if it will give me something good this time? While Su Han was pondering, Wu Yixian and Su Mingyue had already stepped into the pillar of light. Buzz. The moment Wu Yixian and Su Mingyue stepped into the pillar of light, a powerful spatial distortion force instantly enveloped the two women, as well as the fish and the fox. The world spun around. The surrounding scenery became blurry and distorted, as if I had been thrown into a rapidly spinning kaleidoscope. Su Han instinctively wanted to resist, but he quickly sensed. Although this spatial power was incredibly vast, it possessed no violent aura whatsoever. Rather, it resembled a pre-programmed teleportation mechanism. In that case, in the end, after a moment's thought, Su Han gave up the idea of devouring this spatial power and let it teleport him. Time seems to become blurred under the influence of space. I don't know exactly how much time passed, but the distorted scene around me gradually stabilized. Have we arrived? Su Han shook his slightly dizzy head and realized that he and Wu Yixian were standing in a completely unfamiliar space. Beneath our feet lay smooth, mirror-like black stone slabs that stretched to the horizon. And, in the distance, a magnificent palace, seemingly cast entirely in gold, loomed in the misty fog, exuding an ancient and majestic aura. As for Su Mingyue and her white fox-tamed beast who came in with them, they had already disappeared. Where is this? Where is Su Mingyue? Looking at the completely unfamiliar environment and the vanished Su Mingyue, Wu Yixian instantly became wary and looked around, clenching her hands tightly and circulating her spiritual energy. Su Han also cautiously surveyed her surroundings, while pointing with her little wings to the only conspicuous building in the distance, the Golden Palace. He could feel that the call was coming from that direction, and it was several times stronger than when he was outside. Upon seeing this, Wu Yixian asked, "You mean go there and take a look?" Su Han nodded. After all, Apart from that palace, the other three directions of the entire space were filled with endless mist. If not there, where else can we go? And, most importantly, Su-han felt that there was a faint voice calling to him from there.
Good.
Wu Yixian still chose to believe in her silly fish. She adjusted her breathing slightly, bringing herself to her best condition, and then took a step, cautiously heading towards the Golden Palace. Su-han then stood on her shoulder, equally ready to deal with any potential crisis. The road was longer than expected, and the fog that surrounded us seemed to absorb sound and light, making the whole space feel particularly oppressive. But the journey was unexpectedly peaceful. There were no traps, no mechanisms, and no living creatures, only a deathly silence and an ever-approaching, ever-growing palace that brought an invisible pressure. It took about half an hour to walk. Finally, the two arrived at the front of the palace. Upon closer inspection, the palace is breathtakingly magnificent, with intricate and ancient stone carvings adorning its golden walls, depicting scenes such as a roc spreading its wings, a dragon soaring through the sky, stars and swords, and a phoenix rising from the ashes. 10 sets in total. Above the main gate of the palace hangs a huge gilded plaque. It is inscribed with 3 elegant and uniquely structured seal characters. Wu Yixian stared intently at the 3 characters and realized that she did not recognize any of them. The characters were a structure completely beyond her cognitive system, and each stroke seemed to contain some kind of profound truth. What kind of script is this, and what do these 3 characters mean? Wu Yixian frowned slightly, puzzled. Su-han, on the other hand, was filled with surprise. Through the ancient memories passed down in the bloodline of the kun-pan clan, he clearly knew, this is ancient script, the script of heaven and earth. The meaning of these 3 characters is True Dragon Palace. Could this place possibly be related to a true dragon? A storm of shock surged through Su-han's heart. After all, a true dragon is the strongest being in the dragon race, a powerful race that is ranked alongside their kun-pan clan as one of the 10 ancient fiends. Could this shipwreck bay not be just an ordinary ruin, but a place where true dragon's legacy is passed down? That place calling to me.
Boom.
Just as Su-han was in shock, the huge, tightly closed golden palace door, hundreds of feet tall, suddenly emitted a muffled thud and then slowly opened a crack inward. The next second, an irresistible and enormous suction force suddenly surged out from the crack in the door, instantly grabbing Wu Yixian and Su-han. Faced with this sudden and powerful force, Wu Yixian only had time to let out a short cry of surprise before everything went black and she lost consciousness. Su-han, on the other hand, is because he is a kun-pan. Even though the kun-pan clan is not known for its defense, his physical body is still far superior to Wu Yixian's, so he did not faint. But even though Su-han didn't faint, his meager demonic power was no match for this overwhelming force, and he was instantly pulled in. Inside the true dragon hall. At this moment, Su-han was being lifted into the air by a cloud of mist. Below him, Wu Yixian lay flat on the ground with her eyes closed, but her breathing was very steady, as if she were just asleep. Seeing this, Su-han felt somewhat relieved. It seems this force only wants to drag me and silly girl into this. It has no malicious intent. As Su-han pondered this, he couldn't help but curiously examine the magnificent and spacious hall. The dome of the main hall is so high that its top cannot be seen, and all around it stand golden pillars with coiled dragons that require dozens of people to encircle. The ground was as smooth as a mirror, reflecting the faint light of the dome that shimmered like a starry sky. The entire space was filled with an atmosphere of desolation, antiquity, and majesty. Only at the very depths of the main hall did it seem there was a high platform. The feeling of being called had reached its peak, and its source was the high platform. Su-han hesitated for a moment, then decided to go and take a look. He swung his tail fin, carefully, riding the cloud of mist, and flew towards the depths of the main hall. The closer they got, the more pronounced the throbbing sensation that originated from the depths of their blood became. Finally, he flew to the front of the high platform. This high platform is made of some kind of warm white jade and has 9 steps. On the high platform, there was nothing else but one thing floating in the air. It was a drop of blood about the size of a fist, golden in color, with liquid flames flowing inside, exuding endless vitality and an aura of majesty. Upon sensing only a trace of aura, Su-han's kun-pan bloodline couldn't help but boil, sending out a signal of extreme desire. Could this be true dragon blood? Su-han's eyes widened instantly, and her heart began to pound uncontrollably. After all, this is a real dragon. A single drop of its blood could probably shake the entire planet. Especially for Su-han, the true dragon blood was an immeasurable treasure. Just as Su-han was filled with surging emotions and endless doubts, a grand, ancient voice, seemingly traversing countless ages, suddenly resounded in the empty hall, echoing directly into the depths of his soul. "Kun-pan, is it really you? You're still alive." The voice carried a hint of surprise, a hint of emotion, and a hint of indescribable weariness. "You've mistaken me for someone else, haven't you? I'm still a baby kun-pan." He must be referring to the previous generation of kun-pan. Su-han thought to himself, while curiously looking in the direction of the sound. In an instant, my mind and spirit were shaken. Above the towering dome of the true dragon palace, a gigantic, illusory dragon shadow, beyond description, was coiled. Its body seemed to be formed from ancient starlight and laws, and its dragon scales were clearly visible even in the illusion, shimmering with a dark golden luster. Each scale seemed to bear the birth and death of a world. The dragon's head was lowered, and its huge eyes, like 2 burning suns, were deep and vast, with a weariness and majesty that seemed to have seen through eternity as it silently watched him. Even as Su-han strained to see into the distance, even the tail of this phantom dragon could not be seen to any extent, as if its body had already wrapped around the entire space-time. Could it really be a real dragon? At this moment, the illusory figure spoke again. "In this life, will you choose to mingle among the human race?" Very well. Although the human race is weak, its power is at its peak, and it is blessed with good fortune. Hiding among them, using their eternal treasures in the mortal world as cover, perhaps we can truly avoid being spied on. We can really grow up again and lead our demon race once more. It's just a pity. At this moment, its words turned into endless loneliness and sorrow. We are all dead and can no longer accompany you to see the splendor of heaven. So be it, so be it. The phantom figure let out a long sigh. This place is one of the places of inheritance I left behind in the past. The original intention was to select descendants with pure bloodlines, grant them some opportunities, and continue the lineage of our clan. But since you've come here, you must have something to need on your cultivation path. So please take this drop of my life essence with you. It paused slightly, its dragon eyes, which shone like the sun, flashed and continued. In addition, I've preserved 2 more true inheritances. One is the Pearl of Immortality, and the other is the True Dragon Technique. If you need them, you may take them yourself. As the last word fell, the drop of golden dragon essence blood that had been floating on the high platform transformed into a golden stream of light and flew to Su-han, where it hovered quietly. At the same time, the enormous phantom of the true dragon began to slowly dissipate, transforming into endless golden sand shimmering with divine radiance, like a reverse-flowing golden rainstorm, swirling back towards the dome. My remaining will is about to dissipate, so I will lend you one last helping hand. Amidst the swirling golden sand, 3 of the most brilliant and solidified points of light suddenly shone, breaking free from the torrent of light and sand. 2 of them transformed into tiny golden threads and flew into the distance. The last one floated down lightly and settled between the eyebrows of Wu Yixian, who was still unconscious below. Watching the disappearing dragon-shaped phantom, Su-han couldn't help but shout, "Hey, wait. Senior, you said you had 2 more inheritances that I could take myself, but at least tell me where those 2 inheritances are. And what do you mean by, I chose to mingle with humans in this life?" Could it be that Kunpeng's true form has been exposed, and there's danger? Is someone trying to prevent Kunpeng from growing stronger? Unfortunately, there was no reply. Above the starry sky, there are countless races, and the human race and the demon race have never been without enemies. But when the true dragon said, "We are all dead," did he mean that all 10 evil spirits perished? But nowadays, among all the races in the heavens, although there are many powerful races, as far as I know, there is no race that is strong enough to completely suppress the human race and the demon race when they join forces. Not to mention, slaying ancient fiends like true dragons and Kunpeng. Su Han's doubts grew stronger. What exactly happened in ancient times that caused the 10 fiends to die? For a long, long time, Su Han took a deep breath, forcibly suppressing his curiosity. After all, there were too few clues, and it was pointless to dwell on them now, only adding to his troubles. Perhaps there are other clues at the other 2 sites of inheritance? But before that, it's about improving our strength. Thinking this, Su Han refocused his gaze on the drop of true dragon blood in front of him, which resembled a liquid sun. I wonder what benefits I'll gain from devouring it. You must have quite a few innate supernatural abilities, right? After all, how could a supreme being like a true dragon not possess powerful innate divine abilities? Su Han glanced at Wu Yixian and found that she was still unconscious, but in good condition, with golden light faintly visible flowing around her. It seems the silly girl won't wake up anytime soon, so I'll take a small bite first. Thinking about it, Su Han looked at the drop of true dragon blood that was so close to him, exuding endless allure, his eyes filled with fervor. Without further hesitation, he activated his innate divine power, devouring heaven and earth. Instantly, a wisp of golden dragon-shaped spiritual energy, as thin as a spider's thread yet condensed to the extreme, was absorbed into Su Han's body. Just a tiny wisp. The volume of the true dragon's essence blood did not seem to decrease at all. It remained suspended there like a liquid sun, radiating immense power. But for Su Han, the situation is completely different. The moment that wisp of true dragon's spiritual energy entered his body, Su Han's originally streamlined and rather mystical Kunpeng body expanded rapidly like a balloon at a speed visible to the naked eye, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a round sphere. So full. At this moment, Su Han had only one thought in his mind. The next second, he fell asleep. A rich golden light surged from his body, forming a golden cocoon that completely enveloped him. Above the cocoon of light, faint dragon-shaped phantoms swirled and moved about, emitting deep dragon roars. For a moment, the magnificent and spacious True Dragon Hall fell silent once again. Days and months passed, and I don't know how many days had gone by. During this time, Wu Yixian remained unconscious, but the golden light emanating from her body became increasingly concentrated. Between her eyebrows, a small, exquisite, golden rhombus mark exuding an aura of nobility and mystery could be faintly seen, adding a touch of holiness to her. The light cocoon enveloping Su Han gradually changed color from an initially dazzling bright gold to a dark gold, with the flowing luster on its surface becoming increasingly profound. Until the fourth day. The sun rises on the horizon. Click, click. Inside the True Dragon Hall, a series of crisp sounds, like a mirror shattering, suddenly rang out. The first crack slowly appeared in the light cocoon that enveloped Su Han. Soon, the crack spread rapidly from a single point like a spider web, covering the entire surface of the dark golden cocoon in an instant. Boom! With a loud bang, the cocoon of light shattered, turning into countless golden specks of light. Within that endless golden light, a huge shadow appeared. It was a colossal beast, over 50 meters long, riding the clouds. It is radiant with a base color as deep as the endless blue of the North Sea, with noble gold outlines on the edges of its scales, while its back and chest are pure and flawless white. Its form still retains its streamlined body, but compared to before, the outline of its head seems more majestic. But what's most striking is its pair of eyes. The original azure blue of the sea was now tinged with a golden light, a majestic dragon's might that looked down upon the world. At this moment, Su-han, who had evolved for a full 4 days, finally awoke. He lazily stretched his body, his massive frame twisting slightly in the air, his bones cracking softly, exuding a sense of power. Is the evolution complete? Su-han looked at his completely new and enormous body with curiosity. His body length of over 50 meters was visually striking, but with a slight thought, his body moved around the hall like lightning, without the slightest feeling of clumsiness or sluggishness. Not bad, not bad. Su-han nodded with great satisfaction. But the next second, he suddenly noticed the cloud beneath him that seemed to be in sync with his thoughts and under his control. I can fly. And even soar through the clouds? Is this a new talent? Thinking of this, Su-han felt excited and immediately looked at his attribute panel. Name: Su-han. Race: kun-pan, juvenile. Rank: kun-pan, one of the 10 ancient fiends. Demon power: 4.1. Skills: none. Contractor: Wu Yixian. Innate divine abilities: devouring heaven and earth. Kun-pan fighting technique: kun-pan nest. Water strike of 3,000. Floating cloud technique. Talents: true dragon body, beginner. Cloud riding, golden azure dharma body. Great strength, beginner. 3%. Regeneration, not yet awakened. 5%. Talent: true dragon body * beginner. The true dragon race possesses a formidable physical body, with defensive capabilities second only to the Xian turtle among the 10 ancient fiends. The beginner true dragon body grants immunity to water and fire and impervious to swords and blades. Talent: soaring through the clouds, the ultimate speed in the world. The most outstanding is the kun-pan spreading its wings, followed by the golden crow transforming into a rainbow, and then soaring through the clouds. As an innate divine ability of the true dragon clan, soaring through the clouds not only allows one to travel 36,000 to 37,000 li in an instant when fully mastered, but also enables the summoning of clouds and rain. Just as I expected, Su-han was overjoyed. His demonic power surged from 2.7 to 4.1, roughly equivalent to a level 4 human beast tamer, nearly doubling his strength. More importantly, newly acquired true dragon innate talent. Although the physical bodies of the kun-pan clan are not weak, they are certainly not powerful either. After all, as the representative of extreme speed in the world, kun-pan almost never needs to use its physical body to withstand damage. Naturally, the ancestors of the kun-pan clan would not specifically cultivate their physical body. Their supernatural powers are more focused on the laws of extreme speed, space, and devouring. However, Su-han is currently only a young kun-pan and does not yet have the ability to transform from a koan into a prung. Therefore, naturally, they did not master the ultimate speed in the world. Before he fully matures, a powerful physical body would undoubtedly greatly enhance Su-han's survival ability and combat capabilities. The immunity to water and fire, and invulnerability to swords and blades granted by the initial true dragon body gives him greater confidence when facing most dangers at this stage. As for soaring through the clouds, it was an unexpected delight for Su-han and incredibly useful. Su-han's newly awakened innate divine ability, the floating cloud technique, is also a kind of flight ability, allowing Su-han to fly out of the water even during his koan period, but it is only flight. Its speed and agility are not particularly outstanding, and it is not nearly as useful as the soaring through the clouds mode. And, most importantly, the ability to ride the clouds and mist not only allows one to fly, but also to summon clouds and rain to conceal one's presence during flight. Whether used for traveling, fighting, or stealth, it has endless uses. As expected of a true dragon, a mere drop of its essence, a wisp of its aura, has granted me such a tremendous boost. Awesome! Su-han's heart was filled with surging emotions. He then carefully placed the drop of true dragon blood, which had hardly changed, into the kun-pan nest for safekeeping. This drop of essence blood was incredibly powerful. Even a single wisp of it allowed Su-han to sleep for 4 days and complete his evolution. Su-han estimated that he would have to wait until he broke through to a higher realm and completely digested the true dragon's spiritual energy in his body before he could absorb it again. Otherwise, his physical body would definitely not be able to withstand it. Even Su-han felt, if he didn't possess the incredibly powerful innate divine ability of devouring the heavens and earth, then he would be any other being of the same level. Even a descendant of the demon race who also possesses the bloodline of the 10 fiends would be instantly burst apart if they rashly came into contact with this wisp of true dragon essence. After all, Su-han didn't have dragon blood. His transformation was entirely forced. From this perspective, my kun-pan clan truly deserves to be the most powerful among the 10 fierce clans that overpower the true dragon clan. Su-han clicked his tongue in amazement, increasingly feeling the power and boundless potential of his own bloodline. A long time after familiarizing himself with the changes, Su-han had a thought, and his huge body quickly shrank, turning back into a small fish fry in the blink of an eye. Slurp. He returned to his assigned seat. Another moonset and sunrise. Inside the true dragon palace, a soft moan rang out. Wu Yixian, who had been lying on the ground, finally woke up. She looked at her hands with surprise and disbelief. Dragon body? Wu Yixian was overjoyed. After all, as the former empress of the sun and moon, she knew all too well what the dragon body was. This is the innate divine power of the true dragon clan, one of the supreme physical qualities that countless body-refining cultivators dream of. It is second only to the true dragon body, possessed by the legendary true dragon emperor, one of the 10 ancient fiends and the oldest and most powerful member of the true dragon clan. In her past life, Xiao Mingyue only possessed a pseudo-dragon body. Even so, she, the Holy Lord of the Bright Moon, still earned the title of humanity's #1 defender. There's no way around it. After all, compared to the true dragon clan, although humans can cultivate their bodies later in life, the disadvantages are still too great. Moreover, the true dragon clan can also cultivate their bodies. For example, Su Mingyue relied on a pseudo-dragon body combined with acquired body-refining techniques. With absolute dominance, it became the strongest defense for the human race. I never expected this. Wu Yixian felt the surging blood and qi within her body, as well as the faint golden luster flowing beneath her skin. In my past life, I envied Zai Mingyu's pseudo-dragon body so much, but in this life, I can actually have such an amazing gain, even a dragon body stronger than the pseudo-dragon body. For a moment, Wu Yixian was filled with emotion. But soon, after the initial excitement, a hint of doubt resurfaced in Wu Yixian's mind. After all, she had no idea what had happened. All she remembered was that after entering the magic circle in Shipwreck Bay, she arrived in an extremely unfamiliar space, in which there was a grand hall whose name she did not know. Then the main hall door suddenly opened a corner, and then she woke up, and this is how she is now. This dragon body appeared out of nowhere. But Wu Yixian soon stopped worrying about it. After all, it was a good thing, wasn't it? Perhaps it's because of my extraordinary talent that I was valued by the ancient dragon in this space and received his inheritance. The more Wu Yixian thought about it, the more likely it seemed. After all, she was a reborn empress with an extraordinary soul essence, so it made sense that she was favored by the ancient dragon soul. I am indeed the chosen one. Upon thinking of this, a surge of pride welled up within her, and an aura of dominance over the world arose spontaneously. Why shouldn't a young girl dream of plucking stars from the sky and draw her bow to shoot down the jade balance? She chanted softly, her eyes filled with murderous intent. Kun-pan Emperor, in my past life, you ruined my path to immortality. This enmity is irreconcilable. In this life, I possess the body of a dragon, and I will surely exact my revenge. Your death is one step closer. Su-han looked at his silly girl, who looked like she wanted to tear him to pieces, and said, "You think you're the chosen one? Without me, you think you can obtain a dragon body? Dream on. And it's just a dragon body, a low-grade true dragon body, and you're already this happy? If you were to obtain the same true dragon body as me, wouldn't you be laughing your head off? Why? Suhan shook his head and sighed softly. What a naive girl. All you ever think about is killing your cutest owner. Thinking about it, Suhan couldn't help but disgustedly pat his silly little girl's big white evil with his little wings. Smack. Ouch. Wu Yixian cried out in pain, finally snapping out of her daze, and glared at the culprit, her own silly fish that was looking at her with a disgusted expression. Silly fish, what are you doing? Wu Yixian said, displeased. But soon, looking at her silly fish that hadn't changed at all, she couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Silly fish, it seems you didn't win that senior's favor this time. But in an instant, Wu Yixian shook her head again and lifted Suhan high up, as if to comfort her. It's okay, silly fish, I won't dislike you. After all, without you, I might not have agreed to let Su Mingyue enter this secret realm together. You are my greatest contributor. From now on, I will protect you. I will never let anyone bully you. Looking into Wu Yixian's clear and earnest eyes, and hearing her declaration of I will protect you, Suhan nodded in satisfaction. That's more like it. Seeing that Suhan had responded to her, Wu Yixian felt even better. She put Suhan back in her reserved seat before starting to look around at her surroundings. Now that I've obtained the inheritance, I just don't know how to get out. Just as Wu Yixian was pondering, the surrounding scenery suddenly began to change. The next second, the light suddenly brightened and a salty sea breeze rushed towards us. Wu Yixian and Suhan have returned to the familiar shipwreck bay filled with steel beasts. Wah! I'm finally back, Grandpa Mu. That place was terrifying. It was full of dragon beasts. I was chased for 5 whole days and almost died. Before Wu Yixian could speak, she heard a heart-wrenching sob. Not far away, Su Mingyue looked extremely disheveled, her clothes tattered and her body covered in blood and dust. The white fox had turned into a red fox, its aura weakened and its body covered in wounds, clearly having experienced a fierce battle. However, both of them seemed to have the same golden rhombus-shaped dragon scale between their eyebrows as Wu Yixian. Compared to them, dressed neatly and composed, Wu Yixian looked more like she was on vacation than on an adventure. Su Mingyue also saw Wu Yixian at this moment, especially when she saw that Wu Yixian was clean and unharmed. Compared with her own and Xiaobai's miserable state, she was overwhelmed with grief. You Wu Yixian, weren't you being chased by those dragon beasts? She pointed at Wu Yixian, her voice trembling. Dragon beast? What dragon beast? Wu Yixian looked bewildered. After all, apart from seeing the palace, she basically just took a nap and came out. There was no dragon beast involved. Suhan seemed to be deep in thought. I knew it. As the place where the true dragon inherits its legacy, how could there be no danger at all? The reason I didn't encounter any danger must be that the true dragon senior mistook me for my ancestor and gave me special treatment. As for Su Mingyue, she was probably put into the outer trial area. Hearing Wu Yixian's Versailles-like reply, Su Mingyue felt even more grieved. He and Xiaobai faced a near-death experience, but Wu Yixian was completely unharmed. Although both he and Xiaobai had made amazing gains, but Wu Yixian also had that golden rhombus-shaped dragon scale representing the dragon's body between her eyebrows, clearly indicating that she had also benefited greatly. Su Mingyue felt incredibly wronged. Her lips trembled, and her eyes welled up with tears. It's not fair. It's so unfair. Xiaobai and I fought tooth and nail just to get this little bit of benefit, and you actually, wah. Is this the chosen one? Wah. From now on, I will never run dungeons with the chosen one again. Su Mingyue was heartbroken. Just as Su Mingyue was suffering in silence, Wu Yixian suddenly looked at the watch in her pocket and was startled. May 15th, Thursday? I actually slept for 5 whole days? Today is the day of my competition with Bai Weiwei? Senior Mingyue. Wu Yixian thought to herself, then turned around and bowed slightly to Mu Qingfeng. I have important business to attend to and must go to the school immediately to participate in a competition. This concerns my eligibility for the college entrance examination, so please excuse me for not being able to stay any longer. I must take my leave now. This competition with Bai Weiwei is related to whether Wu Yixian can obtain the qualification for the college entrance examination, and there is also the star Dao fruit in the secret realm of the college entrance examination. Wu Yixian actually knew very well. If she initially thought her tamed beast was just an ordinary little fish, then, but now she knows in her heart that her silly fish is definitely more than that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to obtain the crimson bloodgrass and the dragon body. However, as a rare treasure of heaven and earth that can condense the bloodline of demon beasts, the star Dao fruit is an absolute top-tier opportunity for its own silly fish, regardless of whether it is ordinary or powerful. She didn't want to and wouldn't allow herself to miss out. Upon hearing this, Mu Qingfeng nodded and said kindly, "The opportunity has been seized. The future is the most important thing. Thank you for your understanding, senior." Wu Yixian bowed again, then said nothing more, and her internal energy and blood stirred slightly. Although she did not deliberately use it, the improvement in basic qualities brought by the dragon body was already evident. With a light touch of her toes on the ground, her figure swept out like a wisp of smoke. With a few leaps, it disappeared into the intricate steel wreckage of Shipwreck Bay. Watching Wu Yixian's departing figure, Mu Qingfeng turned his gaze back to his young master, his eyes filled with concern. "Little Mingyue, what exactly happened these past 5 days? You've worried your grandfather so much. If your natal jade pendant hadn't shown no signs of dimming, I probably would have forcibly stopped the restriction and pulled you out long ago." Mentioning this, Su Mingyue's face immediately fell, and she ran to Mu Qingfeng's side with a pitiful expression, tugging at his sleeve and starting to complain. "Grandpa Mu, you have to stand up for me. Dad lied to me. That place isn't a heritage space at all. It's a dragon beast's lair. As soon as Xiaobai and I went in, we were chased by a group of strange dragon beasts. They had thick skin and could breathe fire and water. They chased us for 5 days and 5 nights. Look at Little White. Its fur is all dyed red. I almost didn't make it back either. Wah." As she spoke, she pointed to her tattered clothes and the weak, wounded white fox, Xiaobai, looking utterly miserable. Looking at Su Mingyue's disheveled appearance, Mu Qingfeng felt both sorry for her and amused. He gently patted her back to comfort her, saying, all right, you've suffered. I'll talk to Tian Shuang about it when we get back." However, high risk is often accompanied by high reward. Judging from the dragon scale marks between your brows, your gains must be considerable, right? Upon hearing her achievement, Su Mingyue immediately stopped crying, her eyes lighting up with excitement. "Grandpa Mu, I did it. I have obtained the legacy that old Deng couldn't find back then." Su Mingyue proudly puffed out her chest. "Xiaobai and I have both successfully condensed our dragon body. Although it has only just been acquired and cannot yet unleash its full power, it is still a true dragon body, with limitless potential." What? A dragon body? Even though Mu Qingfeng was a man of great experience, he couldn't help but be moved at this moment, his eyes flashing with a sharp light. The legendary dragon body that is comparable to the physique of the dragon race? Good. Excellent. Ha ha ha. Heaven blesses my Liju city. If the young master knew, he would be extremely pleased. For a moment, Mu Qingfeng's beard trembled with excitement. Su Mingyue then looked in the direction Wu Yixian had left. Also, Sister Yixian has also obtained the dragon body, and it seems to be even more solid than mine. That's strange. It's like she hasn't gone through any trials. At this point, she became a little depressed. But soon, she remembered her business. "Oh right, Grandpa Mu, shall we go and take a look at Donghai No. 1 Middle School?" In the information I received earlier, it seems that the principal of Donghai City No. 1 Middle School was deliberately targeting Sister Yixian and even wanted to strip her of her college entrance examination qualification. Today's competition is probably not so fair. Although Su Mingyue was furious that she and Xiaobai had been chased for 5 days, Wu Yixian only had a slightly dirty hem. But deep down, she was still very grateful to Wu Yixian. She estimated that if it weren't for Wu Yixian, the chosen one, she would most likely not have been able to obtain such a heaven-defying opportunity as the dragon body. Therefore, before returning to Liju City, she planned to help her big brother handle the affairs of Donghai City. After all, to her, everyone and all the so-called power in Donghai City were nothing more than a matter of a single word from her. Holding on to someone's coattails, hee hee. Looking at the system sprite that was scattering flowers on her shoulder again, Su Mingyue rolled her eyes at it, although she wasn't wrong to say that. But, hey, you trash system, don't I have any dignity? Donghai City's #1 high school. Arena #1. The area around the arena was already completely surrounded by a crowd. Students and teachers alike almost all focused their attention on the ring. It's unclear who specifically publicized it, but almost all the students and teachers at the school know about the competition between Bai Weiwei and Wu Yixian. They all arrived early, eager to see what the commotion was about. After all, one of them was the school's #1 beauty and the former #1 genius, Wu Yixian. The other is Bai Weiwei, the class beauty who has always been overshadowed by Wu Yixian, the principal's granddaughter, and now the #1 genius of Donghai City #1 middle school. This competition should be very interesting. At this moment, a noisy discussion could be heard. Wu Yixian hasn't been to class for 4 days. She's vanished without a trace. The competition is almost here, and she's still not here. Could she be scared? I think it's possible. After all, Bai Weiwei is a genuine level 3 beast tamer, and I heard that her second beast tamer was arranged with the help of the Yi family, which is quite mysterious. Although Wu Yixian was once a genius, he's only level 2 now, and his beast is just an ornamental fish. How can he possibly fight like that? Alas, what a pity. The former goddess and top genius of #1 high school has now truly become a fallen genius. On the high platform, Bai Di, the principal of #1 middle school, bowed slightly and whispered to Yi Tian, who was leisurely sipping tea beside him. Lord Yi, Wu Yixian has been missing for 4 or 5 days, and she hadn't come before. If she doesn't come, wouldn't all our publicity efforts be for nothing? Yi Tian gently put down his teacup, a cold smile curving his lips. Principal Bai, I know what you're worried about. Don't worry, even if Wu Yixian doesn't come, the benefits promised to your Bai family will not be reduced by a single penny. Bai Di's eyes lit up with joy for a moment, but he quickly suppressed it. I wouldn't dare. I'm just worried that if she doesn't come, Lord Yi, you won't be able to get your revenge smoothly. Oh, Yi Tian sneered. Whether she comes today or not, her fate will not change in the same way. It's just a matter of a few days earlier or later. She must be buried with my fanner. Meanwhile, outside the playground of Donghai City #1 middle school, Wu Yixian breathed a sigh of relief as she watched the competition that had not yet started. Just then someone shouted, "Look, it's Wu Yixian. She's here." Instantly, everyone's eyes turned towards the entrance of the playground. In the sunlight, a slender figure walked slowly and steadily. It was Wu Yixian.